What's up, fellas? Once again, I'm back, and just want to talk about my little situation that I was in prison, and so I'm not gonna let it go. I always used to fighting I don't want to say the government, but certain people in the government, or some people that try to abuse their rights. And so got all these letters right here, bam, going out to legal law centers and different places. And I was trying to email them, but I have trouble emailing. And then I'm starting to think, well, if the FBI is on you, then shit, who's to say they're not blocking my phone? And I was doing some reading yesterday, and come to find out that incident on Catapat Yard was the DEA was also involved in that. So now there's more than one agency, federal agency that would be at fault for the abuse and I'd say torture and for putting my life at risk there. So I don't really trust the internet, and with technology these days, anybody could tap into your computer, anybody could tap into your phone, anybody could tap into any of your devices, wirelessly. They got that wireless charging. So and a long time ago, I had an idea, like, well, if they can wirelessly charge your phone, and you can get a signal, you Bluetooth, they have all these things. I remember a long time ago, the government took away FM AM from the TV sets to use that signal for themselves. That's a natural signal that goes through the airwaves, and it's provided by, I believe, the sun and the moon, I believe. And so who's to say that they're using electricity to gain signals? Well, our body is made of electricity. Electricity runs through us. Our brain uses neurons, and they use electricity. Who's to say that we can't say the signal to our brains through the airwaves? It sounds outrageous, but it's not outrageous. And I thought about this a long time ago, because when you're fighting the government, you have to think of on the other side, how can they stop you from or make it difficult for you to meet your end goal, which would be to make a claim, or especially like somebody like myself that I don't have many friends, and most of the people that have befriended me, women, come to find out, as I go back thinking, they all had husbands that were in prison. They all had conjugal visits, and they all admitted to me that they had issues with the law. They would say the IRS or maybe a slip and fall accident. But as I go thinking back, these chicks would be adamant about asking me about the Mexican mafia, gang ties that I may have, drug running, and I'm thinking, like, what the fuck are these chicks asking me this stuff for? And as I go deeper into my story, I'm realizing that these were also, informants. These chicks were taking drugs probably most likely to their significant others, to their husbands, and they got caught up. And and the FBI, they're hell bent on, or now DAA too, possibly, they're hell bent on getting a conviction on me, because that would practically erase all the put me behind bars, and that would stop me from continuing my fighting. That would clear them and justify their means of leaving me out there to be hurt or victimized, and then also for the torture, and the scars that I have all over my body, attacks that I've gone through because of them. So the story might, if I tell you one piece of the story, it might sound odd, but if you pay attention, it all fits perfectly into one piece of the puzzle. And so, so it gives me reason to believe that, hey, they could tap your phone. Obviously, it's easy to tap somebody's phone. I don't know why you guys would think it's difficult. You're registered to a network. The government has access to all the computer signals, and with the sun and the waves and the UV rays, the signal that's out there naturally, AM signal, FM signal, I wouldn't put past them if they didn't take my idea or have the same idea where they could send signals to our neurons. It's, if you speak to somebody, in the scientific world, it's not beyond belief. To us, that we don't pay attention to the type of things, you're not gonna pay much mind to it. You're gonna be like, oh, that sounds kind of crazy. But if you listen and pay attention to science and the science of phones and our electronics, it's perfectly possible. And so yeah, I'm just saying, you have to take precaution, and the obstacles that have been placed. I'm about to take off and drive about an hour and some change just to go drop off some letters, because I'm not paranoid, but you have to think outside the box. You have to think, if for 21 years I've been under scrutiny, and I've been they've tried to turn me into a informant. Officers and inmates alike try to turn me, and I refuse to be turned, and that shit just angers them. And now with the charges that have that arose from that yard that I was on, where all that drama started, and then another yard after that, more drama and more charges and more investigations. I was in two places that were under a heavy scrutiny, and I was catching the worst end of the stick, fighting for my life and just trying to make it. And this is not the regular types of fights that you have to deal with every day as an inmate, in the California prison system. This is a fight against the will of a government, in California specifically, that's trying to keep races separated in order to keep control over the population. As long as they keep whites and blacks and Mexicans at each other's throats, they have the advantage of collecting knowledge and and just keeping an eye on you and listening into your conversations and always having a step ahead of you, and we're letting them get away with it because we're from our own pride, or the way we were brought up, or street issues where we ended up fighting each other. I grew up like that. I grew up I was racist. I grew up racist for a long time, but then I started realizing there was times in my life where I used to hang out with everybody, blacks, whites, and Asians, and I started realizing that maybe it's a mind game that the officers are playing, and we're falling into it. And especially now with the California prison system wanting to integrate, and the inmates are fighting it off, because they have their pride thing. But who is it benefiting in reality? It's not really benefiting us. It's benefiting the hierarchy, the CDC, department, the correctional officers, because although we believe we have control, and we do have a certain amount of control, it's only the control they're letting us have. And as long as they keep us separated, they could keep us separated in the corner while they stand in the middle, watching and delegating what we could do and what we can't do. And the perfect example is that the first time really something big happened in California prison system was when everybody got together, when we broke the color lines and decided to strike against the correctional system. And so this food for thought and things that people should pay to mind to. If you have husbands in prison and family members, let them know that that world is a world of fantasy. It was concocted by somebody, and the idea ran away, and the officers took advantage of that idea and shaped it and formed it. As much as you don't want to believe that, they shaped it and formed it to the point where they had the advantage. And think about that. Those cell phones they're using, doing activities. Come on, man. Any government agency can grab your phone signal, and they don't need your number. They don't need any ID or nothing. They'll pick it up from the airwaves. It's common sense if you think about it. But like they say, common sense ain't so common no more. But it's food for thought, especially for the ladies that have husbands and brothers and sons and all that. Who are they gonna learn from? And they could learn from bad influences theirs, or maybe a family can try to knock some sense into them. And don't give up the struggle for human rights and peace between the races. Thank you for your time.